Good morning, everybody. It's Jesse, and I'm back again for another installment of Social School. And before I get too far into this, just want to wish everybody a happy 2021. If you haven't seen my first video, we talked a lot about the difference between New Year's resolutions and goal setting. And what we're going to do for today is we're going to talk about how do we manage to make 2021 one of the best years ever, or even hopefully just a better year than 2020. And a lot of that comes down to, what we do for ourselves, right? So if you want to have a good year, you are definitely going to have to be responsible and take some responsibility in making this year a good year. And what a lot of that has to do with is setting goals. And so if you saw the title clip, we want to dream big, believe that good things are going to happen. We've got to set some goals. What is it that you really want to accomplish in 2021? And we need to take action. And so if we're going to do that, then we need to come up with a better system than just putting a Post-it note on the refrigerator or the typical New Year's resolutions kind of thing. What we need is we need some SMART goals. And so, I think all of you are smart young people who deserve to have great things in your life. And so for smart people, what it is that I think that we need to do if we want to practice this goal setting thing is we need some SMART goals. And so as we go through this video today and eventually the assignment that's going to be at the end, I just want you to kind of start thinking about what is it that you really want out of 2021. And what we're going to do today is we're going to come up with a plan to see if we can make that big dream come true. How can we make your goals, your dreams, how can we make those a reality? The system that we're going to be using for today is called the SMART Goal Setting System. And it is a way of setting goals that is used by a lot of businesses and corporations, and different people from around the world have all sort of embraced this system as a way of making our goals come true, of making the things happen in our lives that we want to happen. And so I'm going to get into what each one of these means, but SMART basically stands for specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, and timely. And if you put each one of these aspects into play as you come up with a plan for making your goals come true, then your goals will have a much greater chance of coming true. The first thing that we need to do if we are going to achieve big things in our lives is we need to take those big dreams and break them down into little steps. And so just like the puppy in that meme, whatever it is that you want to accomplish, whether it's start a career or go to college or whatever, those things can seem very intimidating. When we look at them, how am I ever going to move out? How am I ever going to buy that car, get my driver's license? Or just, get a job, get my first job. How am I going to do that? And so what we do is we take these really big, scary things that we're looking at, and we break it down into steps. And so as we look at this, I'm going to do that for you. We're going to break it down into those little bitty steps that make that mountain easier to climb. They say that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step, and that's exactly how we're going to do this. The first step that we have to take in this goal setting process is we need to make sure that our goals are specific. And what that means is that we have some real details. What is it that exactly that you want? And you just have to have some very specific details. And the opposite of that specific goal is a general goal. And I think a lot of times when people set their New Year's resolutions, they make their goals too general, and there's not enough detail in the plan. A good example of a general goal would be to say, for example, get in shape or eat healthy. But what does that really mean? And without the specific details, what it is exactly that you want to accomplish, it's hard to know if it's been achieved or not. And so as we set goals, we need to make sure that we're specific about it. So say, for example, that you want a new job, right? Is there a specific job that you have in mind? Would you be willing to do anything for money? I certainly hope not. I know, for example, that Fairmount Racetrack, the horse races, they're always hiring people to shovel horse manure. And personally, for me, that's not a job that I would want. And so I have to know, if I'm looking for a new job, I have to know what kind of job it is that I want. And so a specific goal always has a much greater chance of being accomplished than a general goal, because you have a specific target in mind, right? You have something to aim for, to look at. And so to know whether or not your goal is specific, you have to answer these W questions. And I'm going to go over each one of these in a little bit more detail later. But you need to know who is involved in your goal. What is it exactly that you want to accomplish? Where are you going to work on this? When are you going to work on it? The W question, which, it says identify requirements and constraints. And this is usually the hardest part of the specific goal, but we need to find out what is it that's hard about this goal and how are you going to overcome those obstacles. And then the last, the why, you need to come up with, specific reasons. Why is it that you want to achieve this goal? If you are trying to go to college, what are you going to college for? If you want to get a car, is it to go to work? Is it to drive around with your friends? Knowing what it is that you want out of a goal will help you to become more likely to get it. And so, we look at the example at the bottom here, and it says a general goal would be to get in shape. But a specific goal would look more like what it says at the bottom: join a health club and work out 3 days a week. And if you wanted to get even more specific, you could say what it is you're going to do to work out, how you're going to work out, who you're going to take with you, when are you going to go. The more details that we can add to this process, the easier it is for you to figure out how to make that dream, that goal come true. The next step in this process is we want to make sure that our goals are measurable. And all that really means is that you can actually measure your progress. So some really good examples of measurable goals would be, for example, if you wanted to save money, how much money are you trying to save? Are you going to put away half of your paycheck? Are you trying to save $1,000? If you're, say, for example, buying a car, you should know exactly how much money you're going to need to buy that car. And so if you can measure that goal, then it is a measurable goal. Some other good examples, we talked about the New Year's resolution of, people are trying to lose weight. That's the perfect example of a measurable goal, because you can get on that scale, and the scale is going to tell you whether or not you're making progress toward that goal. And so as you kind of set out in numbers the specific progress that you're looking to make, then you can measure from week to week, from day to day, how well you are following this goal. So let's say, for example, that you're trying to get a new job. And so one way to make that a measurable goal would be to say how many applications you're going to fill out each week. And so if it says how much, how many, how will you know it's been accomplished, then those are measurable goals. Another real good example of this is your grades. And so for a lot of you, maybe your goal is just that you want to graduate this year, just get through the school year. And so that is actually a very measurable goal, because you guys can look on Skyward or whatever system it is that you use for tracking your goals, and you can look and see, and it'll tell you a percentage that you're getting in that class. And so if it's 60 or higher, then probably you're passing, and if it's lower than that, then you're not, and that's a measurable goal. What we want to avoid is goals that really are not measurable at all. So an example of that is one time I had a client come in and tell me that they wanted to be cool, or I've had people before tell me that they wanted to be popular, and I understand why somebody might have that as a goal, but really that's not a measurable goal for me. I don't know how to measure how cool somebody is, or without taking a survey at your high school, I don't know how popular you are, and those things really aren't measurable, and thus are not going to be good goals for us. They're not going to be things that we can work on, we can measure, we can chart our progress. Once we have a good goal in mind and we have the specifics on it and we know that it's measurable, we have to ask ourselves, is it attainable? And so the A in our SMART goals stands for attainable. And attainable are goals that are actually within your reach. Is it something that you can do? As you identify important goals, you begin to figure out ways that you can achieve them. And as you do this, hopefully you will develop the attitudes, abilities, skills, the things that you need to reach them. And attainable goals are challenging, but they are within your capability. And so as we think about this, we just want to make sure that this is something that you can really do, or have you given yourself enough time to really accomplish it. The R in our SMART goal system stands for realistic, and it's very much related to being attainable. But a realistic goal is one that, a lot of you are familiar with this word, but it is just realistic. You can make it real. To be realistic, a goal must represent an objective to which you are both willing and able to work. And so you have to think in your mind, is this something that I really can do? And what has a lot of times determines this is, have you given yourself enough time? So maybe your goal is to make $1 million. I was just in a Google Meet with a student who said, all I want to do is stack that bread. I'm going to get $1 million. And so the thing is that depending on how much time you give yourself, this may or may not be a realistic goal. Are you going to make $1 million in the next few weeks? Probably not. Are you going to make $1 million in your lifetime? Probably for most of you, you are likely to do that. And so in order to be realistic, you have to think about what it is that you can really do, and then come up with a plan that makes your plan doable. Do you have a way of getting to that place that makes your goal realistic? So if you will remember, at the beginning of the video, I encouraged all of you to dream big. And so as we look at, is your goal attainable? Is it realistic? I just want to be real clear. I'm not trying to dream smash. You will grow and develop and learn how to do things that might eventually make goals that seemed impossible actually become possible over time. And you never know, given yourself the right plan and the right amount of time, what actually is possible for you. And at this point, I have to tell a personal story about a goal that I once had. So as some of you may know, if you've talked to me before, I love basketball. I'm a big basketball guy. I watch basketball, play basketball, coach basketball. But there was a time when I was going to college and I was playing against some pretty good basketball players. And these were guys, some of them actually, that played on the SIUE basketball team. And so I used to get dunked on sometimes. And what I had as a goal, the thing that I wanted to do more than anything else at that time, was I just wanted to be able to dunk a basketball. And I'm about 6 foot tall, 200 pounds, never had much of a jump. And so in a way, that was an unrealistic goal. It wasn't probably something that I'm likely to achieve. And yet, I never gave up on that goal. And I kept playing, and eventually, I could jump up high enough where I could, hit the tape, the back of the backboard. I could, grab the rim. I almost one time touched the rim. And so I was getting closer and closer, and I was working on, jumping higher and higher. And then I found an amazing thing. And I don't know for those of you who've ever heard of it before, but there's a place called Sky Zone. And Sky Zone is basically like a big trampoline park. And so what they do at Sky Zone is, at some places they play basketball on a trampoline. And so one of the ways to see if your goal is attainable or realistic is to kind of think, have I ever done anything like this in the past? And I will tell you that I've never dunked a basketball, But at that point, I had also never spent a lot of time on a trampoline before. And as it turns out, when I finally went to Sky Zone, my daughter, I think, was like 8 years old and she wanted to have a party there. I went to Sky Zone and I was playing basketball on a trampoline. It was the most amazing thing ever. And I got to live my dream. I actually dunked on somebody. Yeah, I got to do it. And so you want to think about, what conditions are necessary in order to make your dream possible? What conditions are necessary to make your goal attainable and realistic? And maybe you're going to need to ask for some help. And maybe you're going to need to just get lucky. And you never know really what it's going to take. But I want to encourage you to dream big, but also set some good limits. And again, where I'm going with this is you just want to give yourself enough time and you don't want to give up on your goals. And so this brings us to the last step of our process. The T in SMART goals stands for timely, or having a time frame. What it says here is your goals must include a timeline, include a starting date and a target date of when you want your objectives to be accomplished, right? When is it that you're going to try to get whatever it is that you want to get? Some goals have a timeline specifically built into them. So say, for example, you're trying to get good grades, then you're going to know every quarter, how your grades were. Or let's say, for example, your goal is to graduate high school. Then you kind of know that at the end of the semester is when you want to graduate. Because if you say, yeah, I want to graduate by 2025, then that is much different than I want to graduate this semester. Or for those of you who are trying to lose weight, or some people even try to gain weight, how much do you want to gain in a week? How much do you want to lose in a week? Or if you're, saving money, can you connect your goal to some aspect of time that helps you kind of measure, right? So this is part of that whole process. So for example, if your goal is to save $1,000, then when do you want to save it by? Or if you're, say, for example, trying to move out of your house, when do you want to move out of your house? Would you be happy to live with your parents until you're 30? For most of us, probably not. So you want to start your goal as soon as you possibly can. Start working toward it as soon as you possibly can. And set a target, right? So you have to know what you're aiming for and when you want to have it achieved if you want to try to meet that goal. And so by setting up a time frame, we really, in a way, we set ourselves up for success. Now, does that mean that sometimes we don't have to push those deadlines back a little bit in one way or another, or move them up? Of course. And that's the great thing about this goal setting, is that we can stay flexible. And even if we set a timeline of, say, I want to save $100 in the month of January, if we don't get there, we can just try again for that next month. And so setting up a time frame or a set of times, like I want to save, I don't know, $50 every paycheck, or something that's connected to time, is really going to help us to be more successful in this goal setting process. And there it is, the SMART goal setting process or deal. And where I want to wrap up is I just want to talk for a minute about the assignment that is attached to this video. So ordinarily, if I were coming into your classrooms, I would be handing this out and we would be going through it together. I will tell you that, maybe this is one of the more challenging things that I'm going to ask you to do throughout the course of the year, but really it's not hard. And so what I have done is I have taken the 6 W questions from the specific goal setting part, and I've kind of broken it down into a worksheet that's going to help you to complete this assignment. And so the first question is going to be, what is your general goal? And there you just start off with what it is that you want. And then as you go through and you answer those W questions, the more details that you can put into those answers, the more likely your goal is to come true. So you just have to think, how badly do I really want this thing? And if you want it bad enough, then you're going to take this assignment seriously, and you're going to go through and give it your very best effort. And if you take all of the information from the first parts of the assignment, and you'll see this when you look at it, that gives you the information that you need to set your specific goal. And so the last thing that I ask you to do is come up with a very specific goal, and it's going to answer all of those W questions. And if you do this, you'll come up with a SMART goal that's something that I would like for you to be able to achieve throughout the course of the semester. And what I'm asking students is that their goal be somehow related to this course. So either it's education related, school, money, career, some kind of job related goal, something that you can somehow relate to this class. And if you do this and manage to stick with it throughout the course of the semester, we're going to figure out some way to kind of reward students who take this assignment seriously and take it to heart throughout the course of the semester. And I'll be checking in with students just to see, how did you do on your goal? We're going to hold each other accountable to these goals and hopefully manage to achieve something that is really worth doing and will make 2021 a great year. So thank you so much for your time. That's all I've got for you today. I hope that everybody has a great week, and I look forward to seeing you next time. Bye-bye.